So yeah, we're gonna talk about this expressing creativity, because what's the 4 C's?
Creativity.
Yeah, that's one of them. You got that one right off the bat. Huh?
Communication.
Communication,
Critical thinking.
critical thinking.
And you know the other one.
Well, I sure do. Do you? Anybody else know? It starts with a C. I could tell. Do what?
Creativity, critical thinking, communication.
That's it, collaboration. So, the creativity, communication, collaboration can lead to critical thinking. And that's one of our main goals, is we want our students to be able to think critically. So this is what this kind of talks about in terms of multimedia. Talk about PowerPoint just for a second, video and photo taking, movie making, and all that stuff. So we really want to ask ourselves what multimedia technology and how we can, as teachers, use it to create, share visual information and teaching, how to make digital presentation dynamic as possible to get the best and most bang for our buck and learning impact, what resources we can use for learning as far as video resources, I'm sorry. And then we'll talk about cameras, tablets, smartphone, and all that stuff. So this is like this multimodal learning. So we did the remember this stuff? What was this about? Do you remember? Do you want to impart what you remember?
I lost the word.
You did a whole assignment on it.
What's your question?
I'm asking this, the auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. What's that about?
Oh, the different types of learning styles.
Learning styles, exactly. So what we're finding though is, because everybody is so plugged in to this stuff, I mean, the children nowadays are, I mean, this is all they know, pretty much. They're so plugged in, they're either on this, they're either watching TV in their spare time, or they're playing video games, or they're doing something visually now. So it's pretty safe to assume that students are gonna, the significant amount of students are gonna learn very well visually. And it just stands to reason. This is in their life now. Back in my day, yeah, I told you, I didn't have these. I was sucking on fudgesicles and making mud pies, okay? So we do have a multimodal learning. I mean, we're gonna hear, we're gonna see, and we're gonna do stuff with our hands, mainly texting and typing, but we want to get these students more into doing some types of project-based learning, and so we can do this through the multimodal learning, and specifically with all these movies and graphics and photos and all the stuff we're going to talk about. So it can, technology, visual, audio, kinesthetic, problem-solving learning, all this stuff all fits into it. And if we look at the actual data, it's saying, students like the smartphone best. They would love to be able to do this all day long in school. And why not? Wouldn't you? No? Because a lot of you, want to be on this 24/7, It's hard to put down. And I get it, that's the world we live in. But 22% want tablet, 22% want television in their room, and 70% want laptop. So there's a video here. I'm not going to play it, but there's also a good article here. Again, if you need something to do research on, this is a very good article where that data came from. And it may or may not work fast or not, but we'll see. I'm not play. There it is.
So they would prefer a teacher who can teach in most.
This is actual multimodal video that you can watch, it's not that long. What's on that? I thought that was it, I must have. Okay, no, this is a 35 multimodal learning strategies and examples. So there's a lot of stuff here that you can look at on this topic. Okay, so we have all this stuff that we can do. The big one is PowerPoint in terms of creating content to impart to your audience, in this case, children in your school. But, you know, a lot of you are not gonna be educators, both here and in the online class. But, you know, you might be doing a presentation. How many of you have done a PowerPoint presentation? Probably everyone in here has, I would assume. Okay, so you know how this stuff works. This is all kada, or thank you, Captain Obvious. But there are advantages and disadvantages that we have to be aware of. You know, the advantages are short summaries of key points, visual dimensions, easy to use, it's on most computers, can be combined with visuals and multimedia. But the disadvantages are you cannot replace in-depth discussion and analysis. I mean, you can talk about stuff all day long. On your bullet points, students may tune out. No? You're not seeing this on my video, but all these students are just like so riveted to what I'm saying in this PowerPoint. You can't see them on the video. It takes time to put this stuff together. Screens they may be so busy that you're distracted. So there's a lot of issues. It's presenter oriented, not content oriented, not audience oriented. And that's somewhat true. In a situation like this, well, no, this is not for me. This is not presenter oriented. This is like imparting information to you guys. So I disagree with that stance in this particular case. But, you know, I've been in a lot of dissertation committees, people getting their PhDs, right? And I was always taught that, you know, you keep that presentation down to a half an hour tops, okay? I went into one dissertation, this person had 60 slides on her presentation. We were literally there 2.5 hours. I was not the chair of that committee because that would have never happened, and I told the chair of that committee, don't ever put me on another committee of yours. I'm not going to do it. You're going to allow this nonsense to happen? Because all these things happened. It took away, slide where it often reduces the analytic quality of the presentations. That's exactly it. When this person was actually explaining her research and the outcomes of her research and how she analyzed it and the methodologies and all that stuff, all I cared about was I want to get the hell out of here. Because it was so long and boring, you know? And so it's a, you know, in a particular popular PowerPoint templates are ready-made designs, usually weak in verbal and spatial reasoning, and almost always corrupt statistical analysis. It's not saying the analysis is wrong, but it corrupts it because you're more focused on other things than being on the actual analysis. You're following what I'm saying. So I mean, there could be a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm one of these people that was, you know, please shoot me now, you know, because I could see it was 61 slides, and I'm not going to get up and say no, 61 slides. I'm not going to get up and say no, I'm not going to participate in this because this person worked really hard. And I read her stuff, I read her dissertation, we were going to pass her, she ultimately got her doctorate, and that's fine. But to put us through that was just like
That's a lot.
unbelievable.
How long
She was trying to
was
make
that?
sure.
Huh? Yeah, right. But see, when you're doing a dissertation, or defending something, you need to do brevity. Now, there's a reason why I tell you a paragraph needs to be 6 sentences. I'm not doing that just to annoy you guys. I really don't want them any longer than 6 sentences either. It's because I want you to be able to synthesize and put what you want to say in a nice, short, concise thing. Okay, it's called synthesizing. Okay? You take all this stuff and you funnel it down into something brief and positive that you can do. Okay? So there are problems with it. Now, how many people have done prezzies? Okay. A few of you have done prezzies. All right. What about Inamoto? Ever heard of that? Yeah, oh, jeez, I had a full class yesterday. None of them have heard of Inamoto.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Okay, Glogster, I've heard of that, I've never used it. And then Adobe Voice. So there's a lot of other different stuff we can do besides, for presentations besides PowerPoint. And what's the Mac one? What is it? No, not the movie, the presentation. It's like PowerPoint. Keynote, yes. Okay. So it's really just basically who's your audience, you know, what do I want them to know, how do they behave, these are other additional questions, how do they behave, what do they like, what makes their heart sing. I know in this class it's educational technology, is that correct? Okay, that's right. Okay. Where are they, what technologies do they use, and how do they consume content? So, you know, we want to organize stuff and get it the way we want it. We could do a lot of things to generate discussion. Because again, you don't want to just be up here looking at the PowerPoint, reading it, walk over, go to the next slide, come up here, read it. You know, I try very hard to promote discussion in here. Not very successful, but I try. You know, because I'll ask a question and all I hear is crickets. And I ask you if you're actually breathing and alive. I want to make sure you're okay. But a lot of questions, unless it's controversial, because if I ask a controversial question, you guys light up, okay? And controversial stuff would be prompts, okay? So I can ask prompts of an equivalent or fact, cause, or bring about an action or feeling. So if I was to talk to you about politics, I can guarantee you guys would light up pretty fast. If I talked about something else controversial, like guns in schools or something like that, you guys would probably pop up a little bit. But we're talking about this stuff, so that's you know, I try my best. Okay. So this is like a writing prompt thing that comes out. It's a writer's right thing, and it comes out every month. And these are the prompts that we can use to try to promote interest in what we're doing. Storyboarding. Okay, when we're making a video, like I showed you the video, how I put it together, we don't really want students to just like go in willy-nilly, for lack of a better term. Like, they have to have some boundaries and guidelines, and one of them is to give them a type of organizational chart called a timeline. And guys, this is what the pros use. It's not like something, this is what people use in movies all the time. You know, it's how they organize this stuff. So this one's a blank one. You know, it's like scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4, and notes and all that. This is one that's filled out. This is all the way scene 31 through 35 of this movie, whatever they're doing here. So, you know, it doesn't matter if this is stick figures in here or whatever, but it's an organizational type of thing. Because all movies generally start out slow, generally go up to a climax, something happens, and then they go back down and have an ending, and so forth and so on. So, you know, you just want to do that stuff with kids when we're doing this stuff. And I've done it, and it works really well. And it gives them guidance on how they're going to proceed. Because if you're just thinking out of your hiney, guess what product you're going to get? You're going to get a hiney product. Okay? Just chirp, chirp, chirp. God, you guys, come on, those are the jokes. Yikes, okay.
We ready to go.
Okay. How many listen to podcasts? I asked some of you, a lot, like, I had a full, everybody in yesterday's section was here, like 19 people. Not one of them ever listened to a podcast. This one, yeah. Seriously, I asked the same exact question, not one of them listened to podcasts. You guys, I had about half full here.
I
So,
like podcasts.
what about vodcasts?
Mm-mm.
It's a video podcast.
Oh.
And you can get them through the Apple
Then yeah.
thing, you know. So, in education, they're saying, you know, we use them for flipped classroom. And students consume the podcast outside of class and then participate in the classroom. It's not, you know, they're popular tools in the flipped classroom. Again, we're gonna do the thing that I'll send you and we'll do the Kahoots. So be ready for that, okay? We'll see if that flips, we'll flip that. The bottom line, they're available on any topic, just that you can think of within reason. Not only in education, but in life. I mean, you find so much stuff. To do it, you know, does anybody actually do a podcast? You do? Okay. How do you do it? I mean,
The radio station.
the radio, so you got actual professional setting with mics and all that stuff. You can literally do a podcast on your phone. You know. So, but, you know, the professionals have the nice mics and all that stuff, but you can literally do it on your phone if you want to. Again, video is widely available in the classrooms. We use that pretty much as a standard now. This is at my actual classroom in 1964. No, it's not, but it was just like that. Again, you know, even when I was your age in college, we didn't have any of this stuff. I mean, you know, we didn't have computers, we didn't have all this stuff to play with. We had a classroom, a chalkboard. They
Just
might,
horrible.
yeah, they might have had a globe or a map or something. Maybe the American flag, huh? That's it.
Live in a pen, pencil.
That was it. We didn't really have a whole lot of stuff. When someone would do something, like say, I mean, like they had like, when I was in college in the 80s, you know, huh?
Nothing.
Yeah. 80s.
That's not that bad. 80s.
Or when I wasn't in college, I'm sorry, I was in high school. I
Oh.
graduated in 1978 from high school. But when I did go to college, yeah, I mean, they might have had like some slides that they put in a slide projector to show us or something like that. Maybe a reel to like an 8mm movie or something like that. When they would roll in with that 8mm movie projector, man, we were just like, oh, hell yes, you know, because we could goof off, you know, and watch the video.
This is horrible.
But, you know, we just didn't have that stuff back in the day. And now it's so prevalent in every class. Again, I'm teaching at the DRS. I have my kids in the DRS. I'm going there all the time now. I'm seeing what they're doing, and even second grade, they have a ton of Google Chromebooks. Okay, and I'm asking her, yeah.
So is Google Chromebook the cheapest computer? Because a lot of schools have that.
It's like the most cost-effective one.
That's the one with all the colors.
No, it looks like a regular. It's just a smaller laptop. It's not like a big laptop. It's
At my elementary, they gave out Apple.
yeah. I mean, they're doing that now, and you know, it depends. I mean, they had enough iPads for the entire population of the school a year ago, or 2 years ago. They handed them all out, and they took them away. Because all they were doing on them was downloading music. and they didn't have, they had it locked down, they had these things locked down so they couldn't get apps, but they didn't lock down the music. So these kids are putting in their parents' credit cards and they're getting all kind of music,
No.
and then the parents are complaining.
Mm.
And then to get, yeah, to, huh?
They should have locked that app, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
That they should have locked the Apple ID thing, right?
Right. But then, if a science teacher wanted an app, an actual app to use, they had to take, the students had to take their things to the IT person, and he would install the apps. Okay, it was just a big mess. So what they ended up doing was giving each teacher, 20 of them, and saying, you do what you want with them, you hand them out, you bring, at the end of the period, you get them back. And but then came, this is I'm a science teacher, this is a really, really cool app, but it costs $12 times 20. Who gonna pay for it? That became a giant mess. So they do what they do. We try to find, apps that have a good bang for their buck and are free, and you guys are gonna do that eventually here. Okay,
Is that an assignment?
it will be.
Is that this week's assignment?
No, that is not this week's assignment.
What was it to find an app?
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, okay.
We're veering off here.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Let's stay on topic here. We gotta get through this. So, the big thing now is YouTube, obviously, streaming video, all that. The Common Craft and Khan Academy. I talked about Khan Academy before. Just to give a quick overview of it, I'm gonna show it really quick. For those of you that don't know it.
It's KH.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess it up.
Oh.
Because I'm gonna do that on purpose, because what'll probably happen is this. See, I don't even have to spell right anymore. Because I can totally butcher this, and it's gonna find what I want. There's a term for that. I'll give some person $1 if they can tell me what it is. Next class, you can investigate.
Oh, you slick.
There's a term for what I did here. I totally bombed this, but it found it for me. There's an actual term for it. Okay, so, there's another term. No, we'll talk about it another day. Okay. So I was doing rockets with my STEM class here on the university, at the university, and we needed to calculate altitude. Okay, so the rocket goes up and starts coming down. How can I figure out how high it went? I can do it through trigonometry. Because if I'm standing 50 feet away from it and I've got a device that's going to tell me it's going this high with some numbers on it, then I can calculate how high it went. Because I have this altitude meter. Jeez, my dog got me good. So I needed to brush up on trigonometry, and I did this like 12 years ago, or not 12, but a while back. And I just needed to brush up on it. So I went. Khan Academy is great for any age level. If you don't know what Khan Academy is, you should check it out, because there's a lot of stuff in there. Instead of paying a tutor to do your stuff, try Khan Academy first, because they break it down pretty good. So, when I click on this stuff in trigonometry, there's a practice test, there's all kinds of stuff. There's usually videos as well. I'm not sure why this doesn't have a video. I thought it did, but just in the search button, type whatever you want, and you're gonna find this stuff. Okay, so it's a really, really good resource. But there are, Khan Academy is the big one. There are all kinds of stuff. Just information. We can find out anything. Now, the question is, how accurate is it? Video, plot, rewind, ask student the right responses, integrate segments and student responses into lessons, and all that. So, but there's issues that we can have when we do that. Now, this is an actual Prezi. If you have never seen a Prezi, this is what they look like. This is a very elementary one. But it's talking about passive and active viewing. And that's, so when I click on here, whoops, boom, come up. Passive viewing means you're watching a television program, film, but are paying small amounts of attention to it. It's more background noise than anything. You can give your attention to the screen when something loud or interesting happens. A television show may be in its downtime, or the movie may have gotten slow. You might check out your social media links, accounts, and fill in those gaps. So that's the passive learning. The hypodermic theory is the media injects ideas into people's heads which change their attitudes and sometimes beliefs, and that's a big problem nowadays. Because it's not just news media doing this, I mean, it's all kinds of media do this stuff. All the way from actual news organizations to movies and TV shows that put in subliminal messages, you know what that is? Okay, and stuff like that, product placement, all this stuff that they do to get you to change your views and to buy their products or think the way they want you to think. And sometimes they will out and out lie. Who would do that? Okay, hell, it's on Facebook, it's gotta be real, you know? So, it's on Twitter, it's gotta be true. So, this implies that the media can make you more like the characters in the shows you watch. Supposedly violent characters might make you more violent, for example. Media such as the news tells you things that you have no given reason not to believe. I mean, you have no reason not to believe it other than, you know, getting your BS meter going. Okay, you need to start thinking about, I imagine most of you do. I imagine most of you can see something that's, a red flag will pop up. And you're gonna wanna think about it a little more, do a little more investigation, so. Active learning is when you're fully immersed in this stuff, okay? Much like my wife and the 90-Day Fiancé on the Bravo channel that I hate. Totally immersed in that stuff. I hope she's not watching this video. And then you also interact your question of what happens on the screen and want answers. You want to know what's happened. So they, you know, TVs will tease you. They'll do the big tease, or what was back in my day called the cliffhanger, that you're gonna have to come back the next time to find out what happened on Dancing with the Dumb Butts or whatever is going on. Okay. Usually I say another word, but I'm on video. And then in some instances, you shape the show the way you want it, so you might be able to vote on something or do those types of things of interaction, so that's like active viewing. And then the last one is examples of passive, you can read that. So, I don't wanna read anymore, it's getting boring.
I didn't know you was gonna read that thing.
Huh?
I didn't know you was gonna read it, actually.
I know, but it's actually good information, and it's accurate. And it's not just for educational technology, it's for you guys in life, you know, you need to, you know, it's not just, but, you know, we need to apply that and know that our students are doing this and getting that information. So, the immersive video that you can do, have you heard of these 360 cameras? You know, that you take a shot all the way around, and it'll paste it together into a video or a moving type deal. You know, those are immersive video that can simulate interaction and learning. And there's a lot of them, and VR does that as well. You know, you can do the VR thing, and that could also be considered immersive video. Again, the taking photos, movie making with students, we went through that. I'll do a little vignette on that for my EME, for my online students. But again, Windows Movie Maker free on any Windows product, iMovie free on any Apple product. Final Cut Pro is the pros. So like the first digital movie, complete digital movie in history. Anybody know what it is? Completely done digitally.
The 3D one?
Was it Panel 9?
What?
Panel 9.
Is it the movie that's the Dolby Digital on it?
No, it was shot digitally, it was edited digitally, it was produced digitally.
And then how people
The whole
actually
thing.
paid attention to that stuff.
Yeah, it was Braveheart, Mel Gibson movie. Totally done digitally. Okay.
What is it?
Oh, Braveheart.
Braveheart. No, don't Google it. Pay attention to what I'm
Can
doing.
we at least type it so I don't forget it?
Yeah.
Now, what was it?
Braveheart.
But now, I mean, check out the video. I've been seeing this all weekend during my football games, and it's so annoying, to me anyway.
You promised the world and I fell for it.
I saw that.
I'm gonna,
It's a hate you.
shot on the iPhone 11. Shot on the iPhone 11.
I need to
But
get
dude,
that.
I
I
was
was shot with what?
I don't believe
The
that.
new iPhone 11.
No,
I don't believe it.
Why
You
not?
can really shoot anything with any camera once you know how to set up lighting and edit.
And editing,
That is true,
absolutely.
but it's like,
Yeah.
no, I feel like I was
So
Oh,
there's
Air
the new
Force.
AirPods.
Bro.
New
Okay,
AirPods.
awesome. I can look into that.
trying
Okay, so yeah, again, you can do this stuff, I mean, you can make quick videos and stuff on your phones, edit them, put in transitions, credits, all that stuff. You can do all this stuff so easily now. And it's a really fun thing to do with the students, particularly have a group of students. So you're doing that collaboration, communication, creativity to spark critical thinking, yeah.
Sometimes when you make a video on your phone, like the iMovie, like when I post it on YouTube, it'll be like blurry or like pixelated.
Oh, absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, it's, number one, it could be the output you set. If you set it for HD quality, it's probably gonna be better. There's different ways to do it. When I was at the concert the other night, you know, and I'm shooting, I was actually doing a live thing on Facebook, and then it saves it, right? And it was all blurry and crappy,
Yeah, it's just part of your
you
phone.
know? This is like this is the last one before the 11 came out. This is
Oh, that's
Oh,
what I
like
got.
this is the 10.
Oh, I
This
have
is
the
the 10.
back.
This is Max.
Yeah, this is the XS Max.
Yes.
It's not the phone, it was Facebook. You know,
Yeah,
Facebook,
Facebook be tripping.
Facebook couldn't do it enough, but then it saved it. So I've actually put some of these on, the videos on